Hey everybody, so I was asked by Panzermeister36, otherwise known as my friend Evan, to do this quarantine challenge showing your workspace thing. Now I am considered essential, so I am no longer at home, but I was at home for 5 weeks with pneumonia up until last week. So I did get my taste of quarantine, and I actually did get some modeling stuff done. So I will show you what everybody else has been showing you, where I build stuff, where I film stuff, what's in here that's relevant to these sorts of things. So the room where I do this is our spare bedroom. I wasn't planning on setting up my hobby stuff in here, but it just kind of happened. It's just a long rectangular room. It's way longer this way. My PC and like YouTube setup over here, bench in the middle, and then spare bed for company or me when the kids are loud, and then some bookshelves and stuff. Alright, so the main bench area is really just a fold-out white table, which I've been using forever. You've got little stackable plastic storage stuff there, paint rack that I made myself terribly, some of these little tote tub things, bigger ones, smaller ones, and then this larger thing, all set up in the back up against this wall, which makes a relatively good bench kind of setup. You'll see I have these two big soft boxes here. Let me step back and show them. You know, they take up a ton of room. Basically everybody I know has them. I got the same ones that Andy, otherwise known as Tactical Jackalope, told me to get. They're a huge pain in the butt and they're very hot, but it's a big part of filming stuff if you're going to film in the middle of this space. My main setup is just upside down cutting mats so that you don't see the grid because the grid is distracting. Two of them, big green space. It gets really dirty and gross over time. Alright, so we'll go over some tool stuff real simply. This cup that I keep my sanders in is the company I started that I rage quit in 2018, so it's kind of a nostalgic thing for me, but this is pretty much where all my sanders live. Some stuff I got from Adam Wilder, old Squadron stuff, and primarily these like Hobby Lobby light and dark blue ones is what I've been using lately. I don't have any good metal files. I should, but I just basically use whatever. Don't know why there's a pencil in there. And these next two things are cookie tins I got from Hamilcar. This one is like clay tools if I need to like scrape anything, or old skewer sticks for stirring paint. Sponge. And then another one of those full of every cheap paintbrush I can find and a number of different cutters. Like my good ones aren't even in here because my wife stole them, long story. And then there's stuff in here that I probably don't quite need, but just 4 or 5 different kinds of cutters. Paintbrushes are literally whatever I can find. I normally destroy them so fast I don't really care what they are. Just little hobby store cheap things. Up in here, well, you'll see the early stages of U505, which is fun. I don't even know what's in this double stacked thing. Like I can peek in here and find out. It's kind of embarrassing, but 502 oils and sponges. Various tweezers and Zimmerit tools, airbrush cleaning stuff, Squadron putty, didn't know I had that, Q-tips and decals, rubber gloves and cement that I never use. This looks like various tiger parts, like all tiger parts, more tiger parts. Panzer I magic tracks, a metal barrel of some kind. I don't even know what this is for. 8.8 L56, so Tiger 1. Not sure if it's early or late. Didn't know I had that. More Tiger stuff, including a completely assembled gun. And a most likely one. So unfortunately, a lot of this stuff just becomes background. Like I don't really use it correctly. Behind the U-boat, you've got some micro-scale industry stuff, Microset and Sol, M1 Garand clip, because, you know, you need that. Alright, so then this paint rack, I built out of pine. I should have built it out of MDF or something, because it was like $100, and I suck at building things. May have mentioned that in like a cave tour in the past. Up here is all model color, and a couple like Panzer Aces and Model Air. Just for the color though, not for actually airbrushing it, because that'd be crazy. Here you've got some dull coat, Solvaset, Aqua Gloss, AK thinner, and a random Sin filter. Then all this stuff is Tamiya paint. These are too deep, even behind the big one there. I would say half of it is probably empty. Under that is Wilder's enamel line, and then his pigment line, and that takes up the majority of that stand, or that, yeah. And over here, textured earth line. This is really sad. I'll show this. This is Wilder's masking fluid. I keep this around. I don't know if you can see, but it's completely solid. When we moved to this house, it was like 40 below, and a lot of my acrylic stuff died. But I named this product, so I keep this around because it's like sentimental that I got to pick the name of it. I can't open it with one hand, but it's there. It's just like, so I keep all of the quick masks here, despite the fact that I'll never be able to use them. I think I used them once, but whatever. Real quickly up here, all my Wilder oils. They're very difficult to get to, and when you do open them, when they store this way, all the oil leaks out, and it's terrible. If they're not open yet, like unsealed, it's fine, but if they've been, the little silver cap has come off, it's a huge pain in the butt. This is my Contacta from Hamilcar. I just keep it around as like a decoration. I'm not going to use that garbage. These are a couple Model Masters jars from when I first started. Again, sentimental. Huge amount of Vallejo pigments that I use about half as often as I would use Wilder's. Not sure why, I just don't. Acetone, super glue, Vallejo's airbrush cleaner that does not work. Over here is acrylic washes that I don't use, acrylic metal paints that I don't use, and a couple old AKFX. This is all my broken stuff. Over here you've got some old MIG filters, Tamiya tape, normal extra thin, super fast set extra thin. Down there is more glue. I'm not sure how full those are. X20A, larger size Tamiya paint bottles. And then we'll peek in here. Like, I'm not even sure why these Tiger tracks are here. This looks like Tiger suspension. So again, like most of these correspond to kits. There's cigarette lighters in there for bending stuff, for candle lighting. Like there's a set of tracks in there. Most of these are just per a kit, but I've lost track of what's in most of them, so I'd have to go through every one to figure out what's there. And then over here, digital calipers, razor saw, photo etch bending tool, extra X-Acto blades. And then my knives hang out in this little mesh cup thing with about 1,000 pairs of scissors, or excuse me, tweezers, and a bunch of different X-Acto handles. And then over here, my airbrush setup is just my Neo in one of these cleaning pots, a couple of clamps hooked on it, my homemade airbrush cleaner. And this is a drawer full of magic tracks, basically, like extra or spare ones. And then, like, this is all Wilder's dry transfers, which I've come to like quite a bit. And then this is other various things that I don't remember what are. So I should really probably reorganize a lot of this. This is another dry transfer set that I've been using pretty consistently. And underneath that are the sub-assemblies of the Scharnhorst and 350 that I've been doing. So at the moment I have like a lot of stuff going on right here. This is my brand new Tiger with transport tracks with the 3D printed stuff that I made that I sell on Shapeways. This is like the test of it. And those are 3D printed clamps. There's my Martyr. There's a 222 that I just pulled out because I found the photo etch for the top of it. There's my 1/4 scale Tiger track that I was priming to see how bad the stepping would be on it. It's pretty bad, so I'm going to have to texture it or use acetone on it. There's the back section and the sprues for the U505, and then these are a couple of repairs I have to do. This hatch broke off of there in the move. Same hatch broke off of this guy. So it's just in a state of clean and ready for things to be fixed up. Another tool thing I want to bring up is this thing. It's the 3x magnifier, I think. And I use this for everything. And it's not because, I mean, my vision is particularly bad, but if you ever try to use one and then try to go back to not using one, I think you'll realize how good they are. I recommend that everybody, even like younger people like Panzermeister, should use something like that because it's awesome. So I know a couple other people were showing, you know, absolute basic tools. Extra thin I always use. These aren't my Giron cutters. These are like my old crappy ones, but I have the nicer, bigger pair of these. My Wilder tweezers and like these sanders. And I don't have a good X-Acto at the moment, but you know, it's your generic X-Acto. Oh, this one might be one of those knockoffs. Yeah, it is. So this is actually not a very good handle, but you know, that stuff you can get by with. Alright, so if you come over here, like just right of the bench, that's where the tool clamp museum lives. And my periscopes. Down there is normally where my C-hook would go. There's my S-hook. My C-hook is actually currently helping me get my rug to flatten out, as are my wire cutters, and my track tool, and my engine starter crank, because I just pulled this thing out of storage. And I've got a couple tracks above the spare bed, which is weird for company. My no-tech light. So a little bit of stuff lives over here. That stash is actually for my wife, as weird as that sounds. She gets the bug to build things every now and then, so it's like it's an old Revell and an Airfix spit in there. That's her Blackhawk. And then that gas bus, I've just never touched it, so I think she might at some point. My ultrasonic cleaner that I almost never use. For a 3D printer. And then a little bit of stash lives up here. Most of it lives in my basement. This is the full interior Tacom Panther A that Steve Mottram sent me. He's a lovely dude. 2 copies of this Dragon early kit, which I don't know what I've taken out of either of them because I'm using them over on the bench for that experiment on my 3D printed stuff, so I've kind of ruined them both. That's a PS3 and some Smolden television games. Ignore that. This is the Shelf of Shame, like all of the review stuff that I've built or just unpainted or unfinished. This is the one shelf where most things are finished. And then more either reviews or unfinished stuff. And then my Fitman's Tiger, still haven't fixed the tracks on that. First armor model I ever built, and then a couple more unfinished guys. Up there, that's stuff I've worked on recently. I had to get 2 copies of this 35T because I butchered it. There it is, actually built. And then after the Martyr 376 I was doing, I got the bug to do more Martyr stuff, so the 3H is up here, the 2 is up here. That's my spares box, and then these I was going to give away. That's why they're up here. And in between stuff is a TV with historical stuff on it most of the time. Retro video game consoles, because I do that, so some of that lives there. Tiger Panther, most of my reference books, Wilder, Tankard, These are 8 Wheels Good books, which are like the best thing in the world. The Pico books, kind of like Panzer Rex sort of stuff. Book I got from Hamilcar. Encyclopedia of German Tanks World War II, highly recommend that. Axis Forces, that's a uniforms book. The Panzerketten book, Zaloga's Armored Thunderbolt. The Stug Bible, Son of the Sherman, The Modern Study of Tiger 712. What's this? Modeler's Guide to the Jagdpanzer. That's fun. Tigers in Combat garbage paperbacks. Tigers in Combat high-end hardcovers. And then DW to Tiger 1. Stuff up here is, that's an old copy of 3DS Max. And some like kind of like coffee table books I got from a friend of like old tank stuff. And like a generic World War II thing. Another 3DS Max thing. This is good, and if anybody has access to Amazon Prime, it's on there now. It was put together by Bovington, so the only thing I can say about it that I don't like is that they go with the Joe Ekins killed Michael Vittman thing. Like, not he could have, but he did. They don't even mention the Sherbrooks. There's the Stahlhelm and my grandfather's hat and a picture of him. Alright, up there, something else I just felt like I should build soon. This is just a box full of decals. Gendarme figures, more Wilder dry transfers, the Master Club Tiger Tracks I gave a nasty review to, tons of Kaizen and model casted, and AFV Club tracks. These are all freewheel tracks. That's pretty much all that's over there. Here's my piece of a Panzer III fender. And back to my computer. And that's like the whole room. So it's just a little rectangular room. One more thing I wanted to show before I'm done is my tripod, which is fantastic because the legs can be at like any angle at all and still hold, because it's just a very well made tripod. So when you have it really small on a desk, it works really well. Plus it has this pistol grip where you can just kind of aim it where you want and tighten it. And then you lock the camera in there. It's like when I set this down in a second to record the outro for this, I'll lock it in, I'll put it where I want, good to go. It's a very cool tripod. It's a Manfrotto. It wasn't that expensive. It's probably better than my camera though. I remember Evan was talking about compressors, so I think mine is probably even cheaper than his. This is the Harbor Freight Central Pneumatic. You know, cheap as they get air compressor. It works perfectly fine. I've never had any issues with it. I have a moisture trap that comes with it. I also use one on my line. I don't use one on the airbrush itself, but I've never had any problems with this. It walks. That's about the only problem with it at all. So here we are in my basement. This is where my stash lives, next to my furnace. Like, in this very creepy 1950s ranch house basement. It is elevated away from water because we can get water along the floor in here, but everything's safe. Scharnhorst, which is, you know, being worked on occasionally, is right there. You know, I'm not going to go through all of it because, you know, what's the point? But it's, you know, it's too deep. It's 99% Dragon kits. You know. Sorry, the lighting is terrible down here. Tiger, King Tiger, Tiger H2, Tiger, Panther, Jagdpanther, 33B, 2 identical Panzer 1s, 4J, Tauk Panzer. I'll just kind of gloss over this and mention anything that pops out. I did buy this right before I left Madison because I liked the EZ8 so much. And it's 99% done, the EZ8, but I messed up the decals, or like, so I need to strip it. But it was really fun. So I actually went out and bought the Tamiya rebox of the Tasca 5C, even though I really don't like Fireflies. There's the now obsolete Bittman's Last Tiger because Dragon re-released it, probably better. Panther with Zim, the Stug with Zim, the F8, this is for you, Evan. Super kit. Some of this has already been done, like the 222 and the Vespa and that. These are all like empty or whatever, but some of those premium Panthers. If you look, sometimes I'll just come down here and I have no idea what's in here. So like, you know, I do still have sealed copies of that Tiger with all of the metal parts and stuff. There's 2 of them down here. This excellent Hetzer with interior that Alexander Richard Marshall sent me. But I really don't know what I have anymore because I don't stare at this stuff. So like, I'll just pull this back. But what's this? Oh, it's, you know, BK3601 with interior. What's behind? Oh, Dicker Max. Yeah, so once in a while, when I have free time, I'll do that. Just kind of pull stuff out because I have no idea what's down here. Oh, look, Evan, there's another Stug there. I didn't even remember that was there. Completely forgot I had that. And there's Ryfield's 503 with interior. There's Ryfield's Mid with interior. You know, lots of models, obviously. Another one of those old Tigers. What's that guy? Oh, Tiger 131. Another Yag Panther. And there's my Morser Carl. Sig 33. 251 drilling. My wife's PT boat kit. And then my kind of Gestutz wagon. All of those crazy Panzer IVs. So I got a lot of good stuff down here. My S-boat from Michael. Somebody told me they can't find these anymore. And I still have an unbuilt one down here. And there's Dragon's Mid as well. What else is down there? Oh, my Panzer 1A, the old 1970s Japanese tank. So anyway, that's where my once illustrious stash sits, on a basement in southern Wisconsin, in the dark most of the time, surrounded by spiders and stuff. It's not, it deserves better, but what are you gonna do? So that's where I build stuff when I build stuff, which is not often. Obviously anybody who watches the channel knows I haven't done much in a pretty long time. The Martyr 3 is almost finished. I'm trying, but you know, since I've changed jobs to a job that A, I don't like, and B, I have to work a lot more often, I just don't have the free time I used to have, so it sucks. But at least this space does exist for when I can. Alright, so I'm supposed to nominate people. So I figured I would nominate Hollywood Modeling and Bruce the Model Noob to do this if they would like to. I know mine was a little short, but I don't have much time because my kids are sleeping in the next room, and at least I made the effort.